Roxanne, Thomas called. Do you know this guy? Thomas and Max in the same room, Roxanne thought. There's no way this is going to go smoothly. Yeah, Roxanne stuttered. He. This is Max. I brought him here to look after Barry. I have to. My daddy. Thomas made a face like he was going to murder Roxanne with his glare. Whenever she used that word, he felt like he was dealing with a baby. My father, Roxanne continued. He had an accident, and I have to go see him. When was this? Thomas questioned. It. Just this morning. When this morning? Roxanne couldn't get an intelligible word to come out of her mouth. I'm done for, she thought. Sir, Max spoke up, this is a spur-of-the-moment thing. Her dad's been hurt. She's really stressed right now. How about you go make some money for your family? She'll take care of her daddy, and I'll make sure little Barry boy does his math. Thomas gave Max a skeptical stare. He knew something was going on. It was just going to take him a while to figure out what it was. Make sure he does, Thomas ordered as he made his way out the door. Seems like a nice man, Max remarked. Instead of nodding, Roxanne just gave Max a cold look. Max hung his head slightly. He knew he shouldn't have said that. Just then, who should come down the stairs? Barry, said Roxanne. Listen, I gotta go out and see your granddaddy. This is Max. Remember him from last night? He's gonna stay here with you. Hey, Barry, Max greeted. Really? Barry asked excitedly. Yes, Roxanne replied. Now, he's gonna make sure you do your homework, okay? But if there's time after, he can take you someplace fun, okay? Okay. Okay, honey. I gotta go. Love you. Bye. As Roxanne headed out, Max gave her the thumbs up. Roxanne giggled and shook her head. All to themselves, Barry began to feel a little nervous. So you're like a rock star, huh? He asked. I'm getting there, Max replied. Barry smiled. You will, he said encouragingly. Thanks, said Max. What a sweet kid, he thought. Then Max noticed something. Barry didn't really look that young of a kid. Definitely young, just not that young. Barry, how old are you? Max asked. 10. Why? Max was not about to say why. No reason. What kind of homework are we doing? Social studies, Barry grunted. Between you and me, this is not my best subject. Tell me about it, Max laughed. Barry already had his work laid out on the dining room table. As they sat down, Max took a look at the textbook. Between you and me, Max said to Barry, this is a very poorly written book. Did you have the same book back in school? Barry asked, stunned. No, Max explained. But here's the thing about textbooks. Do you have any favorite books or anything? Barry thought to himself for a while. I don't know, he said finally. I used to read a lot back when I was younger, but now I don't know. Here's the thing, Max continued. Certain books have a way of getting you to pay attention. These have no idea how to do such a thing. They believe if you can't understand it, then you're too intellectually inadequate to move on to the next grade. Barry just sat there, making a face. Max quickly realized he practically spoke foreign language to Barry. Oh, God. Wait till high school, Max thought. Anyway, said Max, what are we trying to do here? We're on chapter 5, Barry answered. Something about the 1780s. Barry flipped to said chapter, and there upon the page was an image of the Constitution. Max smiled. We the people, Max sang, in order to form more. Max stopped as he noticed Barry's confused look. You don't know that song? Max asked. No, what song is that? Barry asked back. Max raised his eyebrows and folded his hands like a wise philosopher. People say that kids shouldn't watch TV or anything, Max explained, but it's more educational than actual education usually. Barry laughed slightly. He was already enjoying learning more than ever before. Over the course of the next hour, Max was finding ways to tie Powerline into Mesoamerican culture. Barry thought of similarities between his video games and the Civil War. Together, they realized the connection between Thomas's attitude and the European rule. And in what felt like no time at all, Barry's homework was complete. That was fun, Max remarked. Thanks, Max, Barry kindly said. Well, what kind of boring stuff do you want to do now? Max asked. Barry gave it a moment's thought. Uh, could we go see a movie? Sure, Max replied. Maybe grab a bite to eat too? Cool. Max and Barry took a short walk from the theater to the Chinese joint just across the way. As they sat down, who should sit a couple tables down? Mom? Barry said out loud. Max turned around. There indeed was the red-headed gorgeousness. And seated with her were three other girlfriends, including cute little Stacy. Hey, Roxanne called, heading over. Barry, did you finish all your homework? Yeah, Barry proclaimed. Max here? He should be a teacher. They all chuckled. I'm flattered, Max replied. But I think I'm going to keep playing music. Max probably would have asked Roxanne about her daddy, but he pretty much knew the answer already. A movie, Chinese food, and now video games. Barry was having the best day of his life. Max and Roxanne looked on, both of them quite proud. Thanks, Max, Roxanne sweetly said. Max was about to say you're welcome, but a thought was continually nagging at his brain. He couldn't hold it back any longer. Roxanne? Yeah. When did you meet Tom? Roxanne froze. She knew instantly what Max was getting at. She tried to hold it back. What do you mean? She asked. Did you meet him, like, right after left? Max asked. Roxanne was trying to think of an answer that wouldn't reveal the entire truth. But before she could speak, in came Thomas. What's going on here? Thomas quickly noticed Barry's gaming. Hey there, honey, Roxanne stammered. Be quiet, Thomas interjected, then turning to Max. I specifically asked you to make sure Barry finished his homework, not just sit around playing shoot 'em up. Smirking, Max handed Thomas the completed worksheets. I work for free, good sir, Max triumphantly said, heading out the door. Roxanne and Barry followed Max to his van, while Thomas just stood there befuddled. He couldn't understand what in the world was going on. All right, Barry, said Max, firing up the engine. I gotta go. See you, Max, Barry bid. Not if I see you first, Max quipped. All three of them laughed. Then Barry let out a certain sound. Barry covered his mouth in embarrassment. Roxanne froze with anxiety. Max's eyes and mouth hung wide open. Only a certain member of a certain family could make that sound. Max could feel his heart begin to race. I'm sorry, Barry muttered. I make that sound sometimes. It's okay, Barry, Roxanne reassured, putting a hand on her son's shoulder. Just go inside. Barry gave Max one last wave goodbye. Max would have waved back, but he could only sit in stunned silence. His eyes were glued to Barry until he finally went inside. Max and Roxanne turned to each other. Both of them were on the verge of tears. Without saying a word, Roxanne simply nodded. Max began breathing loudly and rapidly. Then Thomas popped his head out, and Roxanne knew it was time to go back inside. Max watched her, showing no fear to Thomas's questioning glance. By the time everyone went inside, Max headed off down the road. Then tears of utter happiness fell down his face. Barry was his boy. His and Roxanne's boy.